Welcome back. New home construction sales decreased in June from May. This is likely due to the fact that mortgage rates have been increasing from the previous month. I have a lot to share regarding home sale numbers for brand new home construction and also housing supply as well, because there are some very interesting dynamics happening right now. But I want to share some context regarding this dichotomy we have very, very briefly, because this will give us some context regarding the numbers I'm sharing in today's video regarding brand new home construction here. That's because for existing houses, the resale market, we have a lack of houses for sale, whereas new home construction, they actually have a surplus here. So here is a report that was announced today, which is July 26th, from the MBA regarding total mortgage applications across the United States. This weekly survey encompasses about 75% of all applications for mortgages. So when looking at their seasonally adjusted purchase index, that decreased by 23% from the same time frame 1 year ago. So applications as a whole are down by 23% year over year. Now look at what these numbers look like when only looking at mortgage applications for brand new houses here. This was posted on July 20th. This report here is a monthly snapshot regarding how many applications are we getting for new home construction or loans to buy brand new houses. Because for the month of June, that actually increased by 26.1% compared to June of 2022. A big increase year over year. Whereas if we include existing houses, we're down by 23%. Vastly different here. Also compared to May of 2023, the month-to-month change for new home purchase applications, that decreased by 5%. And coincidentally here, these numbers right here coincide with the US Census Bureau's report regarding brand new home construction sales for the month of June as well. And Joel Kahn, who's one of the MBA's vice presidents, he's also the deputy chief economist of the MBA. He said with existing inventory still held back by home buyers, of course, a lot of people are not selling their houses because they have very low rates. Prospective buyers have turned to newly built houses instead. Rising mortgage rates in June likely caused some pullback in purchases over the month. However, applications for new home purchases have now shown an annual increase in 5 consecutive months. So year over year, applications for brand new houses have now increased for 5 consecutive months. One thing to keep in mind is that when talking about new home sales in today's video, this is when a builder accepts an offer from home buyer and accepts a deposit as well. So new home sales is really acting more like a pending home sale than anything else. So regarding that, here's what it looks like for existing houses according to Redfin. So pending home sales are now down by 14.8% year over year for the 4 weeks ended July 23rd. If we want to look at June as a whole, they're down by about 12.6%. Again, this is only for existing houses. Now here is a report from the US Census Bureau regarding brand new home construction numbers. Again, a contract being signed between a builder and a buyer for new single-family houses, just posted today, which is July 26th for the month of June here. Now it says here, a sale is defined as a deposit taken or a sales agreement signed. This can occur prior to a permit being issued. In other words, a new home sale can occur on a dirt lot, or it can occur for a house under construction, and of course for a completed house as well. So looking at these numbers here, and by the way, these numbers right here are seasonally adjusted and they're also analyzed as well. So the seasonally adjusted annualized rate for June was 697,000. That's a decrease of 2.5% month over month and an increase of 23.8%. Keep in mind, these are contracts being signed. For existing houses for June, we're down by about 13%, whereas for brand new home construction, they're up by 23.8%. Okay, let's talk a little bit more regarding this report here from the Census Bureau here. So this is what's really interesting to me here is that at 697,000, this came below expectations. The forecast was 725,000 and it came at just below 700,000. This is also the first decrease since February this year. Back in February, it went from 649,000 to 625,000. So that's number one. Number two is this right here, because when I made this video 1 month ago, for the month of May, there was around 763,000 home sales that were reported. However, this month it actually was revised down to 715,000. So this is something that I found to be really interesting, at least, is that even though it was revised down by about 6% from the previous month here for the month of May, we're still down by 2.5% month to month here. In other words, if this number right here for May was not revised down and it still was 763,000, this number right here, down by 2.5%, would look a lot worse. There's a few more things I do want to touch on regarding these numbers right here. Let's look at the region here, because in the West, it decreased by 13.9% month over month, a giant decrease of 28.4% in the Midwest, but a giant increase of 20.6% in the Northeast, and also a small increase of about 4% in the South. Something also worth mentioning as well is that the South is the vast majority of all new single-family home sales, because the South had 460,000 out of the 697,000, whereas the Northeast only had 41,000. So in other words, the big driver regarding total home sales is actually coming from the South here. And like I mentioned previously here, this decrease of 2.5% from May is likely due to the fact that average mortgage rates also increase as well. So in May, the average rate according to Freddie Mac for the month was 6.43%, but by the time we hit June, it increased to 6.71%, approximately a 30 basis point increase in 1 month, which of course could impact home sales this June. So I also want to share historical trends regarding the number of home sales as well. 697,000 is still, of course, well above last year's levels back in June at 563,000. Also at 697,000, this is roughly on par with pre-pandemic levels of around 700,000 to around 720,000. Having said that, the current levels right now are still well below the peak that was set in August of 2020 at 1,029,000 units. Okay, let's change gears slightly here and talk about the number of new houses for sale. And these numbers right here are in thousands of units, but they're not annualized. They are seasonally adjusted, but not annualized. So for the month of June, there was 432,000 new single-family houses technically for sale. That's fairly flat from May, but a decrease of 3.6% from 2022. Also, as a note right here, this is the first increase since last October in the number of houses for sale. This is something I'm going to be closely monitoring over the next coming months here to see if this number starts increasing more or if it falls once again. Regarding housing inventory, even though it did increase slightly this last month here, it has been more or less on a downward trend ever since November last year, when it peaked at 466,000 houses for sale. When we zoom out over the past 5 years though, actually let's go back even further than that. Let's go back to 2008, for example. So going back to 2008, you can really see how high the levels we have right now, even though they have been decreasing ever since November this year. So at 432,000 homes for sale right now, this is the highest pre-pandemic levels going back to June of 2008. In other words, we have a high amount of houses for sale still, and this is one reason, or one main reason, why builders are still offering incentives to home buyers right now. Also, when looking at the month supply right now is at 7.4 months. According to calculatedriskblog.com, the all-time record high was 12.2 months that was set in January of 2009. In contrast, the all-time record low was 3.3 months that was set back in August of 2020. And by the way, a more normal range regarding the month supply of new home construction is in the range of 4 to 6 months, so 7.4 months is still historically high. Let's talk about home prices as well, because there's some very interesting dynamics happening right now as well. The median sold price this June was $415,400. 1 year ago at this time, it was $432,700. That's a decrease of 4% year over year. Also, the all-time record high was set back in October last year at just under $500,000. Therefore, the median sold price has decreased by 16% from the peak set last year. If you guys want to see something insane, take a look at this, because here's again the median sold price over the past 12 months, $415,000 going from $496,800. But when we zoom out, looking at the past 5 years, this is absolutely crazy. $415,000 right now. Right before the onset of COVID, let's just say February 2020, it was only $331,800. And that's an increase of 25%, even though prices are down by 16% from last October. The Census Bureau also provides some details regarding the number of houses that sold and also the houses that are for sale by stage of construction. This is something I definitely pay attention to kind of gauge which direction our US housing market is headed. So regarding the number of houses that sold, here's not yet started, under construction, and also completed houses. So here's at least something I found to be pretty interesting here, intriguing here. So the number of houses completed 1 year ago, it was 185,000 that were sold, that were completed. This June, 246,000 out of this 697,000 that were sold in June. So in other words, the vast majority of houses that sold were completed or under construction this June. This is much different compared to just 12 months ago, because back then, the vast majority were houses under construction that sold. All right, that's a look at the number of houses that sold. Let's have a look at housing supply by stage of construction as well. So for the month of June, there's 100,000 houses for sale that were not yet started. In other words, a dirt lot. The all-time record high was 102,000 that was set back in October last year. Now it's at 100,000. Very, very close to all-time record highs regarding not yet started. This column right here is not really what builders are worried about. They'd be more worried about this column right here, completed houses. But let's first talk about the number of houses for sale under construction, because that's 260,000 homes for sale that are under construction, which is still a very high number. However, having said that, it's still the lowest levels going back to at least the last 12 months. And that right there is a positive sign if you're a home builder, because if this number was to increase greatly, in other words, if home builders were building houses, but they weren't able to sell those houses, that of course would be a red flag here. But the numbers are actually going down, even though the current levels right now are still historically high here. Now, here's a metric that I closely have been following for about a year now, because this is the number of houses completed that are for sale. In other words, the house has already been built. They're ready for a home buyer to buy the house, right? So if this number were to skyrocket, that'd be a big red flag and a very big issue for home builders. So let's just talk about the current numbers right now. So for the month of June, there's 72,000 completed houses, again, single family houses that were for sale. That is actually the highest levels going back to at least the last 12 months. Also, it's about double the share or double the numbers we saw in early 2022 when we had all-time record lows for the number of houses completed but were for sale at around 36,000. Now it's at 72,000. However, though, 72,000 is still fairly low historically speaking, because it's more normal to have in the range of 80,000 to 100,000 houses completed for sale. Also, when looking at the month supply of completed houses for sale, the month supply is only at 2.7 months, roughly on par with the past several months now, and also a little bit below levels set in June of 2022 at 2.9 months. All right, I know that was a lot to cover in today's video. So if you guys are still watching today's video, of course, I appreciate you, right? I also want to provide a summary as well to kind of summarize my thoughts regarding the trends we're seeing in this report here. So number one, new home sales were below expectations, and also the previous 3 months actually were revised downward. Number two, Home sales this June fell from May. So month to month, they fell, but they're up by more than 20% year over year. This decrease from May, though, was likely due to average mortgage rates increasing from 6.43% to 6.71% this June, according to data from Freddie Mac. Number 3, inventory is still very, very high. The highest pre-pandemic levels going back to June of 2008. That's one main reason why home builders are still offering incentives to home buyers right now. And number 4, the low supply of existing houses for sale in the resale market, plus builder incentives such as buying down home buyers' rates, is one of the reasons why some buyers are pivoting towards brand new home construction rather than buying an existing house. And I say this because June's home sale numbers, even though they're down month to month, June home sales is roughly on par with pre-pandemic levels. And with that said, please comment below your biggest takeaways from today's video. Also, if you guys got any value out of this video whatsoever, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Of course, I appreciate you. Also, consider subscribing as well. Hope you guys have an awesome day. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.